What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I'm creating this video to help you guys familiarize yourself with all of the specialist characters that are going to be in the Black Ops 3 beta. There are 8 characters that are going to be in the beta, and I want to show you guys what each of their power weapons are and what each of their abilities are. And I feel this is going to be very important to know before you actually get into the game. That way when you see the characters in game, you'll know exactly what they're capable of. Let's get into it. Alright guys, before we get into each one of the characters, I have to quickly explain just how the specialist system works. So basically, in a game of Black Ops 3, you choose your specialist ability before the game begins, and you cannot change this mid-game. Once you've chosen your specialist character and their ability or power weapon, you've committed to that for the entire game. So you get to pick either a weapon or an ability, and each character has one of each. They each have a power weapon, and they each have an ability. So now that we know that, let's get into the first character, and that is Ruin. And that's this big scary looking guy you can see on the screen now. So this guy, his power weapon is gravity spikes. You guys probably saw this in the trailer, but I'll just read the description. These are spikes that create an explosive shockwave when slammed to the ground. So this is going to be used to clear off objective points a lot. If there's a hard point that's just full of enemies, or maybe a domination flag with enemies all over it, you can use this power weapon to slam down on those enemies and kill anyone in the surrounding area. And I think this is going to be very powerful, but I feel it's also going to be balanced because it's a one-time use thing. Every time you earn it, you get to use it once. And it's something that you could just completely miss and not get any kills with. It seems like you can really see it coming from a distance away if you're paying attention. That's part of the reason of this video. When you see this big scary guy coming and he has those big spikes in his hands, you better watch out because he's slamming down to the ground. So I'm not too concerned about this one. I think it'll be balanced just fine. So that's his power weapon. His ability, on the other hand, is called Overdrive, and this one increases your speed significantly. Think Advanced Warfare's Overclock on steroids. You move extremely quickly, but it's for a pretty short period of time. This one will be very useful in game modes like Capture the Flag and Uplink, or even maybe Hardpoint or your opening rush routes at the beginning of a round of domination or something. It just gets you from point A to point B a whole lot faster. Moving on to the second specialist character, we have Seraph. And Seraph's power weapon is the Annihilator Pistol. This power weapon is something you've probably seen a little bit of controversy on if you've been keeping track of Black Ops 3 news. A lot of people are concerned about this pistol. It seems very powerful, and I think this concern is for good reason. This thing does seem extremely powerful. The description for this is massive high caliber revolver that fires devastating penetration rounds. And from what I could tell, this is a one-shot kill anywhere in the body, and it can go through as many enemies as it needs to get a kill. So if you have 4 enemies lined up, you can get all 4 of them with one shot if they happen to line up perfectly. And I'm a little concerned about this pistol. One thing that is designed to keep it a little bit more balanced, at least on console, is it has no aim assist at all. So that's going to help on console, but it still kind of makes me nervous for the PC guys out there where aim assist doesn't even exist in the first place. So it seems like it's going to be an issue on PC, but also if we look at the time to kill in Black Ops 3, it seems quite fast, so maybe it won't be such a big issue because if you pull this out and fire one shot with it, if you get killed immediately after firing that one shot, you don't respawn with it. You lose it for good and you have to earn it again. I don't know, it might be balanced, it might not be. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. This is the one that I'm most concerned about though. As for Seraph's ability, this is one that I'm really excited to use. I feel like I'm going to be using this one a lot, and this one is called Combat Focus. This allows you to earn extra score while this is active. So you can activate it right before you capture a flag in domination or jump onto a hard point and kill a bunch of enemies, and any score you earn while this is active will be multiplied towards your score streak. I don't know if this is a double multiplier or what it is exactly. I think it's a double. I could be mistaken on it. But basically, you can earn a ton of score towards your score streaks very quickly while this is active. And this is something that I feel is going to be balanced very, very well. It's something that's going to take skill to use. You use it at the wrong time, you're going to waste it. If you get killed while using it, it's basically useless because your score streak's ended now. So I think it's going to be something that is very rewarding for the people that really know what they're doing. And I'm definitely excited to use this. The third specialist character that we have is Outrider. And her power weapon is the Sparrow Compound Bow. So this one is a compound bow that fires bolts with increasing force the longer it is drawn, and it explodes enemies on impact. This one I think is going to be pretty cool. It's not going to be quite as powerful as the Annihilator in my opinion because you have to actually draw it back before firing. So you can't just basically tap the fire button a bunch of times and just spam it. You have to actually draw it. And also from what I've seen, I don't think there's aim assist on this one either. So I think this one is actually going to be pretty fun to use, but not too overpowered. As for Outrider's specialist ability, I'm a little bit concerned about this one, at least for Search and Destroy, and this is called Vision Pulse. This ability pings the surrounding area, and it gives away the location of any enemies in your immediate area. I'm not too sure what kind of distance this has, but from the little gameplay that I've seen, it is pretty far. You're not going to be seeing enemies across the map, but you will see any enemies that are in basically your threat zone. Anywhere that is a threat to you, you will be able to see them through walls very, very clearly. You can see their entire body just like highlighted in red through as many walls as you need to. And for Search and Destroy, I think this could be very, very frustrating. For respawn game modes, I don't know, I don't think it'll be too bad for respawn game modes, but once you get into Search and Destroy, this is the kind of thing that basically wins rounds, and I'm a little bit concerned for the Search and Destroy guys. Next up, we have Reaper, and Reaper's actually a robot. Reaper's special weapon is the Scythe, which is essentially a death machine that just comes out of Reaper's arm. And I think this one's going to be balanced just fine. If you just think back to the death machine in Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, it really wasn't that big of a deal. Especially knowing with this one, as soon as you start firing it, if you die, you don't respawn with all the remaining bullets like you did with the death machine in Black Ops 1, and I believe in Black Ops 2 as well, it worked like that. So this one, I think it'll be kind of fun to use, but nothing that we really have to worry about too much. Reaper's ability is called Psychosis, and this one sends out, basically it sends out decoys of yourself. It sends out 3 decoys of yourself that look just like you, and they just like run around corners. I think they just run out in random directions, and they're designed to basically bring enemies out of hiding or just distract enemies before you come around a corner. So you can call them in before you come around a corner. The enemy will see your decoy come around the corner, start shooting at it, which I think it takes just a few shots for an enemy to actually kill that decoy. But that might be just enough time that you need to come around the corner knowing exactly where your enemy is because he's now exposed to his position by shooting, and you can maybe get the kill on him. This one, I don't know. I'm not too worried about this one. It could get maybe a little bit frustrating being on the receiving end of this just because there might be a bunch of decoys everywhere and you don't know which one to shoot. I'm kind of hoping the decoys will be designed in a way that if you look very carefully without even shooting them, you'll be able to tell it's a decoy. But I'm not too sure. Based on the gameplay I've seen so far, it looks exactly like an enemy player, so I don't know how it's going to work out. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we have Prophet, and Prophet's power weapon is called Tempest. And Tempest is a charged shot weapon that fires an arc of electricity, shocking targets and chaining to all nearby enemies. So with this one, if you shoot an enemy, he gets shocked and he's like doomed to die, and if any of his teammates come near him, it will actually arc to them and kill them as well. Now I think perhaps the most frustrating thing to be on the receiving end of this is when you get shot by the Tempest, you can't just like instantly respawn like you would if you were shot by a gun. You have to actually wait for that 2 seconds, like 2 or 3 seconds or so of that animation where you're being shocked and dying. You have to sit there and watch your character die before actually being able to respawn. This one, I think it'll be okay. It looks like it also doesn't have aim assist, or doesn't have much for aim assist, and I'm not too concerned about this one. Prophet's ability is called Glitch, and this is one that also a lot of people are concerned about. I'm a little concerned about, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think. With this one, when you activate the ability, you actually teleport back in time a few seconds to wherever your character was a few seconds in the past. So if you run around the corner, see a bunch of enemies, and realize that you're a dead man or you're about to be a dead man, you can activate this ability and you'll teleport back a few seconds to when you were behind cover around that corner. And now you know exactly where the enemies are that were shooting at you, and you know how to handle the situation. This one, honestly, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. A big thing with this one is when you teleport back in time, you don't know what's waiting back around from where you just came from. I feel like this is going to get you killed pretty much just as often as this is going to earn you kills, because you don't know exactly what is waiting for you when you do teleport back in time, especially with a faster paced game like Call of Duty. For our 6th specialist character, we have Nomad, and his power weapon is Hive. This one deploys pod traps which release a deadly swarm of nano drones when triggered. So this one basically sets a couple of these hives or these little traps You can shoot them on walls, you can shoot them on the ceiling, you can shoot them on the ground, and when an enemy walks past them in close proximity, it will basically deploy these little nano drones that will eat the enemy to pieces. And just like with the Tempest, it seems like with this one, you have to actually sit there and watch your character get torn apart. You can't just skip and respawn. You have to sit there and wait until the animation completes. So that could be a little bit on the frustrating side, especially because it is sort of a fire and a forget sort of a thing. So you can just shoot it on the ground and then run away and not have to think about it ever again, and it might just get you a kill. So I don't know, this one could be a little bit frustrating. I hope it's something that you can at least spot if it's something you're looking for. Nomad's ability is something that I'm definitely concerned about, and I hope gets banned for competitive at least, and this one is called Reject. This one, when you die, you can activate this ability after you've already been killed, and you essentially come back to life. Now, when you do come back to life, there is a little bit of a period where you have to wait. Like, you can't just jump up instantly and run away, or jump up instantly and kill the guy that just killed you. It does take a little bit of time to do that, and when it happens, you just deploy some smoke, and apparently it's really obvious when it's happening, when you can see an enemy doing that. So I think a lot of the time, you're still just going to die anyways, because the enemy will see what you're doing and kill you, but sometimes you might get lucky, you might get up and run away. My big concern with this, and something that I feel will be very frustrating, I don't know how this actually works at this point. When you kill somebody that uses Reject, do you still get credit for that kill if they use Reject, get up, and they actually escape? Or do you get a kill rewarded to you as soon as you get that kill and knock them down? I hope it's the latter. I hope you actually get rewarded for the kill when they go down. If that's not the case, I'm going to be very, very upset with this particular ability. Alright, so that was the initial 6 characters that have been revealed to us over the past few months, but there have just recently been 2 more characters announced. And the first character is called Spectre. Spectre's power weapon is called Ripper. And this one, I'll just read the description. Spectre deploys mono-edged twin blades before gracefully dissecting victims with lethal surgical precision. So this is essentially a knife-only specialist. You can run around with this blade that comes out of your forearm, or basically sits on your forearm, and you slice enemies up. I assume it gives you a little bit of a speed boost. I'm not too sure on that. And I also assume it's going to be more powerful than a regular combat knife. Otherwise, what's the point? As for Spectre's ability, we have active camo. So Spectre's kind of like an assassin, and this one is just like Cloak in Advanced Warfare, basically. So while you're activating this, you go nearly invisible. I don't think you're going to be 100% invisible, because that would be extremely overpowered. But you go nearly invisible, and you can run around the map like that as long as it's active. A big hope that I have with this one is I hope it's balanced similar to Advanced Warfare, where you're unable to actually shoot enemies while being cloaked or nearly invisible. But I guess we'll have to wait and find out. So finally, the last specialist character that we're going to be seeing in the Black Ops 3 beta is called Battery, and her power weapon is War Machine. This is a grenade launcher that fires time-fused bouncing frag grenades which explode on contact with the enemy. So it's basically like an MDL from Advanced Warfare, but it explodes as soon as it contacts an enemy. So I think it's going to be just a little bit better than the MDL. I hope it's going to be quite a bit better than the MDL. I'm sure it will be, but we'll have to wait and see what the gameplay is like for that. As for Battery's ability, we have kinetic armor, and this is one that I'm definitely concerned about. The description for this, at least the description that I have for this, is charged electrically reactive armor that sublimates enemy bullets on contact, turning them into a vapor which dissipates harmlessly. So you guys may or may not be too happy to hear this, but this means it actually negates bullet damage 100% while this is active, but only bullet damage to the body. Headshots will still deal the same amount of damage as they would assuming you weren't using this ability. So if you do see somebody with this active, you can headshot them, and also it only affects bullet damage. So explosives will still do the same amount of damage as far as I'm aware. This has been confirmed by Treyarch. So I am a little concerned about this, to be honest, but at least you can still go for those headshots. I hope this ability doesn't last for very long. It doesn't look like it lasts super long, just judging by the little bit that we saw from the trailer, but I'm still a little bit concerned about this ability. So that's all of the characters that we know about so far. There is one more character that is currently locked and will likely stay locked until the launch of the game, and this one will definitely cover once the game actually launches. I want to know in the comment section below, which one of these specialist characters do you guys like the most, and which weapon or ability do you plan on using the most? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.